Well, today we're going to talk about the widow's oil. Wonderful story from the Old Testament. It's from 2 Kings 4, verse 1 to 7. Because God's faithfulness is great. Remember that. First verse. The wife of a man from the company of the prophets cried out to Elisha, "Your servant, my husband, is dead. And you know that he revered the Lord. But now his creditor is coming to take my 2 boys as slaves." Let me explain what's happening here. At this time in the Jewish history, there was a lot of idolatry and falling away from God. But there were some people referred to as the company of prophets, maybe 7,000 people who were loyal and honoring to God. The leader of them right now is, I don't know if it's Elisha or Elisha. I'll call Elisha because I've always said that. It is Elisha, good. Good, that he is. And he succeeded Elijah. Elijah the prophet, and then Elijah's successor was Elisha. Elisha was mentored by Elijah. Good man, good people. Those 7,000 people, godly men. There may have been other godly people that weren't a member of that company, but they were godly men. But it says, his creditor was coming after his 2 sons. This man owed money to somebody, and he didn't have it. You know what happens? Bad things can happen to good people. He was good people, and yet his family was in big trouble. Because in those days, if you owed somebody money and you died, your kids could be sold into slavery until that debt was paid off. Big deal, huh? That's a big deal. That's where this lady was at right now. Okay? Second verse. Elisha told her, "Well, how can I help you? Tell me, what do you have in your house?" In other words, what can you do about it? What can you do about this situation? Wouldn't we say that? If someone came to us for help, you might say, "Well, what do you got? What do you got to start with? What do you got?" And this is what she said. "Your servant has nothing at all." And then she says, "Oh, wait a second. Except I have a little bit of oil." Now, oil, actually, in those days, was a valuable commodity. They used it for cooking. They'd actually use it was olive oil of some sort. They'd use it for cooking. They'd use it for, you could burn the oil for heat, and all sorts of things. It was a valuable commodity. She had a little bit of it, like a little cup. And interestingly, when we're in a problem and we think we can fix it, what do? We go out and fix it. You know, I don't know that that's a problem or not. I do that all the time on my electric business. When I go out on a job, if I think I can fix it, I just go and work on it. If I'm not quite sure if I can do it, then I pray about it. And I guarantee you, it always goes much better when I pray about it. So there's probably a message in there somewhere for me. Haven't figured it out yet. But the job I'm working tomorrow, I'm praying about it already. That's tough. So she could do nothing. She had nothing that she can do to fix this problem, so she went to the prophet. So Elisha said, and get a load of this, go around and ask all of your neighbors for empty jars.
Yeah.
Go ask all of your neighbors for empty jars. And don't ask for just a few. If you were her right now, what would your immediate response be? Mine would be, say what? You want me to do what? And then he said, go inside, shut the door behind you in your house with you and your sons, and pour oil into all the jars, and as each jar is filled, put it aside. What jars? The jars she was told for her and her sons to go ask the neighbors for these jars. What do you think about that? You know, being in her situation, I wonder if I would say, you know, my husband is a man of God. This sounds so silly what you're asking me to do. These people probably don't even like me. You know why? They're all turning away from God. I can't go to them and say, well, the man of God says I'm supposed to have these jars because he's got something big planned for me, and I don't know how I would respond to that. Or she might say, this isn't fair. You know, my husband, he served God. He deserves better.
Yes.
Right? He deserves better. But without faith, you can't have any miracles.
That's right.
So what do you think she did? You'll find out what I read right now. So she left him, and afterwards shut the door behind her and her sons. Meaning she'd already gone out, got the jars, and came back with her sons, and she started pouring. I was going to bring a little styrofoam cup, but I forgot when I came. She took that styrofoam cup, poured it into the first vessel, filled it up. Holy smokes. This other vessel, I'm sure, was bigger than this cup. Because you know what? We all know the answer to this question. If she went out and got one jar, how much would God have filled up? One jar. If she went out and got 1,000,000 jars, how many would God fill up? 1,000,000. I agree. This is kind of like the loaves and the fishes story in the Bible, except the little boy that gave the loaves and fishes to Jesus, he didn't need the miracle. He already had loaves and fishes. He already had his lunch. And those people with the loaves and the fishes, they weren't going to die if they missed one meal. They'd have just gone home hungry. This lady, her sons were going to be put into slavery, and she would have likely died. Okay? But in her faith, we're going to see how big her faith is now. So they brought the jars to her, and she kept pouring. When all the jars were full, she said to her son, bring me another one. But the son said, There's not a jar left. So then the oil stopped flowing. Can you imagine those two sons? Yeah, those two sons, when they're sitting there, and they are the ones that are going into slavery. So their mom was in big trouble. They were in big trouble too. So I'm pretty sure if they knew what was going on, they're going out and they knocked out every single door in the neighborhood. And they gave them 3 jars. You got any more jars in here? You know, I'm going to go into slavery here. And their faith had to be magnified when they saw what happened. They were put to the test by their mother, probably, unless if they were listening to the prophet Elisha at the same time. But they knew, we have no one else to trust here except God. Is that a good situation or a bad situation? Because I think that's a good situation. You know what? I really do. I really do, because it's when we trust God is when miracles happen. Miracles happen. So as you could probably guess, when all the jars were filled, she went to Elisha, and Elisha told her, go sell the oil and pay all your debts. Pretty good, huh? Mm-hmm. Pretty good. Mm-hmm. You and your son, not only that, you and your sons can live on what is left. So not only did God meet the need of the initial problem to pay the debt off of her dead husband and keep her sons out of slavery, now they had something to live on. Because you know what? Her husband was dead. She now had to live on something more. But now she could work with her sons and continue on living her life. Cool, huh? Yeah. Cool, huh? Don't limit God. Don't limit God. Sometimes when we are in the middle of those situations, we may panic. I'm only saying this from experience. We may panic, but God knows our situation. I'll guarantee you, every one of us in here at times have been in a situation that only God can fix that for us. Could have been health, could have been finances, could have been whatever. And I'd ask you, name me the top 10. Name me the top 10 times God has done something for you. And you know what? I can't. I forget about that. You just figure God did that for me, and He'll do the next one for me. You know. Don't limit God, and don't forget what God has done for us. You know. It's easy. I mean, when we talk about, you know, God sending His Son to be our salvation, that is awesome. That is awesome, awesome, awesome. But He doesn't stop there. He cares about our day-to-day life. He cared about that woman whose husband died and needed some financial assistance. So, if you need financial assistance, pray for it. Pray for it. Put God, so to speak, to the test. And put His money where His mouth is. I don't mean that as anything derogatory. Trust God. Trust God. He puts it in Scripture. If it's in Scripture, it's in there for a reason. You know, and I'm not a name it and claim it type of guy. You know, I'm gonna work as hard as I possibly can. And then the last chance, okay, God, now you can. I just want to make sure I do my part. Because I can't do my part for my salvation. God did. I can't do that. And I thank God that it can. Yes.
He gives us what we need.
Yes.
What we want.
That is right. A story. It does sound crazy. I was just sharing this with one of my kids yesterday. Nothing related to this necessarily, but either the richest or second richest man in the United States lives in Omaha, Nebraska. I can't think of his name right now.
Warren Buffett?
Yeah, Warren Buffett. He has got billions of dollars. And he has, I read something once, I don't know if he's changed his mind on this. A gazillionaire, right? Money means nothing to him. He has kids. And when the question came up, what are you going to leave to your kids? He said, and I don't know that he's a Christian or not. I don't know that. He said, I don't want to give so much money to my kids so that they won't work.
Amen.
I will give them enough to give them a start in life, and then they're on their own. You know what that number was? $400,000. I remember seeing that. Doesn't it seem like a lot of money?
Oh,
Well, he makes that much money a day in interest. I'm sure. But it was like, I don't compare him to God.
Marlene.
He doesn't. No. But he doesn't give us. He gives us what we need, not what we want. What would his kids want? Give me $500 million, right? But that would destroy them. I know that it would. Untold wealth will destroy us, all of us. But that was enough to get them started in whatever it is. God is. I don't know if I would say God is like that. Interestingly, God gives each one of us different skills. Each one of us. Like Shaquille O'Neal. I use him as an example. You know, I like Shaquille O'Neal. I like the way he played. He seems like a friendly guy. But he didn't just happen to be a good basketball player because he enjoyed the game. Because maybe I enjoy the game every bit as much as him, but I'm not 7'2" or 3 or 4 or whatever he is, right? But can he be a brain surgeon? He can't even fit his hands into the head, right? You think about that. So God gives, those are vast differences, but God gives each one of us different giftings. Some of those giftings allow you to make a lot of money. Like if he gave you the gift to be a doctor or physician or surgeon, but some of them are not. And you know what we do? We thank God. We thank God for what we have and honor Him in what we do. So the last thing, and this is why we say great is thy faithfulness, because God is faithful, is from Lamentations 3:22-23. Because of the Lord's great love, we are not consumed, for His compassion never fails.
Amen.
They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. Great is your faithfulness, God. God, you are faithful to us. And we know that. We know that, Lord. Give us remembrance of those many times that you have stepped in situations where we did not have the answer, didn't know what we were going to do, and you were there, Lord. And you fixed it. You came through. We may not even have asked, Lord. Help me particularly, Lord, to pray to you first before I go on these jobs, that I know that the right thing will be done for me and for the people I'm doing that work for. Lord, you are faithful. Amen. Amen. Amen.